All right, so like Jason said, today we're going to cover the CMA tools that we offer you here through the MLS. There are several tools that we have that are multifaceted. They do several things, one of those including the CMA. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through several of the tools, starting with the smaller CMAs, maybe like the quick CMAs that provide the smaller amount of information. So if you're on the go, you need something really quick, or you just need a quick idea of something, you can get that. Then we're going to work our way down through the tools in that give you a larger report, more information to the point where it's going to make your head spin, but in a good way. So we're going to go ahead and share here. And if you want to butt in at any time, Jason, you can. Jason ran a very large brokerage and was in the industry for how long?
20 years.
20
long years.
So he started when he was 12.
Uh-huh.
So he's done his fair share of CMAs, training people on CMAs, and I was in the business for 8 years. So if you do have questions about the concept of the CMAs, you can put that in the chat as well while we go through and really show you the tech piece of it and the possibility of the report. So the first tool that we're going to go through is right inside of Matrix, and we'll go ahead and open up the dashboard first here so you can see. So we're going to go inside of Matrix and do what's called a quick CMA. But most of the tools that we're going to go through on here, actually all of them, are right here on your dashboard. As you can see, Jason talked about how we did a bit of a facelift. You're going to see more tools coming into the MLS. All of your tools are all listed right here under the core tools section. So we're going to start here with MLS. We're going to move our way into Remine, and then we're going to end here at RPR. Some of these tools here you haven't seen yet that you will start to see in the next few weeks. But if you use any of these regularly, do make sure that you utilize this button up here and copy to favorites. The ones that you want favorited with the bold filled in heart will add right here to the top of your dashboard. All right. So first, we're going to start right inside of Matrix for this quick CMA. To do a quick CMA inside of Matrix, you're going to run a simple search. We're going to go through residential. So you would run a search around the same parameters of the property that you're doing a CMA for. So for this one, I'm going to use an example of a townhouse that exists over in Forest Lake Townhomes in Fort Myers. So we're just going to fill out some basic parameters. Forest Lake Townhomes, and I want to pull and see, what the competition is, what's active, what is actually under contract, what's actually closing, not just the dreamers, but the people getting it closed and done here, and see what properties closed for. And it automatically goes out to 3 months out. But if you feel like you have like way too many, depending on the type of property you're doing, right? You have way too many matches down here, you can start to fill out more things, bedrooms, bathrooms, especially for those of you that are, in Cape Coral, you've got your waterfront and golf access that highly affects the price. Think about the things that are really going to affect the price to make it as close as you can to that subject property that you're looking at running the CMA for. If you look down here and you only have one match, you don't have enough matches, you might need to start looking further out. You might need to widen your parameters. If you filled too much stuff out, you can really filter it down. If you've got that niche type of property, it can be hard to find something specific like that.
Right. I think the more you can make it out of the gate, apples to apples.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about apples to apples, the way I look at this is you could have, obviously you have apples to oranges. You're doing a lot of adjustments, right? You're adding pools, you're adding lanais, you're taking off waterfront, you're adding bedrooms and baths, you're doing these adjustments on it. And that's where pricing gets funky because we're not appraisers.
Nope.
And then when you're comparing apples to apples, you're doing 2 bedroom, 1 bath, townhouse, same community, you're doing 120 days back. Now you've got apples, but you could have a Washington red, green apple, you could have a, whatever. So you want to make sure the apples are the same as well. So you're comparing the same kind of fruit, but as close to the subject property as absolutely possible. I've seen too many people go in and present and they're way off on price because their adjustments different. In the last 4 years with inflation, excuse me, you have pools that, used to adjust for 25,000. You're adjusting out 50,000 for pools.
It's a lot different now.
It's a lot different. So you got to know what those things are worth. In any given office, and we did an office visit last year, and we talked about CMAs.
Yeah.
And I said, how many of you, what do you guys adjust for a pool? Or I'm sorry, bedroom. So bedroom, simple bedroom, up or down. The adjustment was anywhere between 10,000 and 40,000 in the same brokerage office.
Oh my gosh, the
So,
opinions.
yeah, the opinions of it. So the more you can do this search right and get real finite, the better off you're gonna be.
Yeah, then you don't have to make adjustments. You don't have to become the professional appraiser that you're not.
Right. The best CMAs I've done have been where I've done 0 adjustments.
Absolutely. So I chose this as an example to kind of make it easy for us, right? Because it's inside of a community. I can easily plug this community in. There's all townhomes in there. So they're all very basic cookie cutter, right?
Mhm.
But if you're doing other CMAs, you'll want to use either city, zip code. You can pull it by a
Geocode.
cert, yeah, the geocodes. But for this one, I'm just going to use the development. It's all townhomes in there. And I've been in there before, so I know that the big difference between one townhome and the next is half of the townhomes have a garage, the other half don't have a garage. So I went ahead and you can see that I plugged in, my mouse hates me today. I plugged in the garage spaces there and it's dropped us down from 11 to 6 options. So we're going to go ahead and pull the results just as if you're doing a basic search, looking for buyers, searching the MLS, same path. So we can see here we've got 2 active, 1's pending with contingency, 3 sold. And over here we see what these are selling for, what they've been listed for on this side. And then we can you can click into each of these if you want to get a deeper look and decide which ones you're going to use as comparables. I'm going to just kind of browse over this and look at which ones are the 3 bedrooms and which ones are the 2 bedrooms. And we're going to go ahead and just select out these ones with the 3 bedrooms. And for this example, I'll decide to include the 2 bedroom plus den. So once you have the one selected out that you wanted, and again, you can click these MLS numbers and open it up for a wider view and see if it's a good comparable for you. And the checkboxes still exist here. So you can do the single property view and go back and forth between single property and single line to get an idea of which properties you want to use. Let me see. It looks like we have a question already. How do you add and subtract columns of info? That's a great question. So if you wanted to be able in this single line view, let me move our little camera here. In the single line view, if you wanted to change what you're seeing for information right here, you would click this little box, like you've got the empty row on the side, or really any of these. It's just easier to click this one. When you click it, you can remove a column or insert a column. So here we could insert a column, and then it's going to open up every field that exists in the MLS. You would select it, click apply, and then it would add it here. So hopefully that answers that question. But if you wanted to be able to take a quick look and have all of, you're looking for a specific piece of information, maybe it's the den flex, maybe it's, is it waterfront, yes or no, you want to add that to this portion, you can click into any of these boxes, and then you can also drag and drop them and put them in the order that you want for that single line view. If you don't feel like altering the Excel look of it, then you can just click into those listings for more details.
Yeah, and you can add it up to as much as you want in the single line report. So whatever's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is not just for the CMA portion, this is for when you're searching on a regular day basis. If you want to alter that so that it fits your needs, that's what it's there for.
Well, and you put the condo fee up there. How many times you see with a buyer and they say, I want low HOA fees, right? You're doing a search.
And you're trying to do
single line, you want to look at the ones that are automatically large, sweep out of there. So
absolutely.
And then you can click on the top of them and sort, right?
Absolutely. Yep. So then it gives you this little cross arrow. You can drag and drop and sort them. But then you need to sort by this. So if we click this, it would sort by this.
So you can sort by days on market.
So
if you want to see what's been on the market the longest, you can sort on that. So yeah, every one of those is sortable. Think of this as Excel is what this is.
Completely editable to your needs. So once you've got your properties selected out that you want to use as your comparables, simply come down here to the bottom, this button that says Quick CMA. And it's going to create this PDF for you. This portion is going to put that banner up top. If you wanted to edit this, that's in your settings, but it puts a quick little banner up here for you and runs through your medium, minimums, maximums, average, and it compares the square footage, the original price, the list price, the sold price, days on market, and it just gives you basic data on all of these properties that you've pulled out, and it lists them and then gives you quick stats here at the bottom. Again, it's called a quick CMA. It's meant to be a very basic run of information. And it's almost like, if somebody calls you and you want to call them back and kind of spitball some quick numbers without a whole presentation, you can do this. Or maybe you've got buyers, they're looking at 3 different properties. You don't need to do a whole in-depth CMA. You just want to give them, some quick numbers to decide what they're going to offer. This is a great way to pull numbers really quickly. We have another question. Is this recorded that we can go back and watch again? If so, where do we find it? Please and thank you. So we are recording all of our MLS Mondays. They will end up on YouTube here. It's probably going to take 30 days for them to get out onto YouTube. If you send me an email, I can get you a link that goes right into Zoom. So you just need to hop forward, as you guys were like in the waiting room for 15 minutes, hop forward until we go live at the 15-minute mark. But send me an email. My email is Joanna, that's JOANNA @rpcra.org with a little request, and I will get that for you. Is there any plans to upgrade to the newest core logic? So they have upgrades that are coming out that aren't released yet for new CMAs. I know that is in the works. I know that they, I'm not sure how much they've done public releases on that. I know that they are working on upgrading the CMA portal. That will be a more in-depth CMA versus just this quick CMA, but it is in the works. They don't have a date for us as of yet.
Yeah,
but we'll get it out to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, so they do releases all the time. So we are going to be on a call. I think it's on Wednesday for 12.5, which is the bigger of the releases. So and then we get them in the queue. We test them on staging, and then we launch them. But yes, the answer is yes to your question.
Yeah. All right. So again, looking at this, very, very basic, something just to give you some quick numbers. But we always know that we've got different personalities, different needs, all kinds of different scenarios where we might need something a little bit more in depth. So we have our tool called Remine. And if you've been on any of our webinars before, we've talked about all the different things that Remine does for data searching. We've done a lot of MLS Mondays on farming with Remine. This is one of those tools that is multifaceted. And one of the things that it does with all of its data is it provides a CMA. So when you come out to Remine, the first thing that you land on is this dashboard page here, and you can alter your dashboard to what you might need, whether property notifications are more important, listing updates, things like that. But to do your CMA, you're going to want to go to the search. Out here, what you'll do is enter in the actual subject property. So before in Matrix, we were pulling a search based around the criteria that matched that property. In this one, we're going to pull up the actual physical property. And you can see here, I have it in my history, but you would just type it out and click it at the bottom once it pops up. And we're going to go ahead and click on this townhouse that is out in Forest Lake. So once you click it, it's going to open up the landing page for that property. And if you are in the works of putting together a listing presentation, and that's why you're doing the CMA, or even if you're, putting something together for your buyers, this is a great place to do your research if you don't know enough yet. There is a lot of information that Remine provides you, lots of flood risk maps, parcel maps, and all kinds of information. They pull this from the public record. They pull this, the mortgage information, the tax assessor information. They've got multiple places where they're pulling information from. so that it's all in one great place. You can see here that they already do a valuation on the property and they show you the resources. And I know a lot of people, when we open this up and they look and they see that there's a Zestimate, they're like, why are you even putting it out there? Like, you know, we don't like the Zestimates. We don't think they're accurate. Well, your customers are looking at the Zestimates. So you need to be looking at the Zestimates and know what you're walking into, know what conversation pieces you're walking into. Maybe you put together your CMA on this and you think it's, you know, maybe it's only worth 190, which I don't know what this specific one, probably not. But you know that they're going to believe it's worth 209. You can prepare yourself for those conversations.
Right, and the cool thing about this
Mhm.
portion of it is you have an updated on the right there.
Mhm.
That's when that
When?
valuation was updated.
When, how accurate is it?
Correct, so I've seen them, they're typically within 3 months. You'll see the
Mhm.
oldest one in here's from December 18th.
Mhm.
But 3 months is what I've seen them, the oldest they've been, they usually update them
Too
pretty
bad.
quick, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I haven't seen anything too outdated. And you can put your suggestion in here and then it would stay in here with your notes. So that if you ever came back to this property, you could go, oh yeah, like, you know, I remember I thought it was, I thought it was worth 275,000 or, you know, whatever you might think that that is. But a lot of information out here about the property. That way also whatever conversations you're having with that customer, maybe they say, oh, we have a mortgage, but you know, I don't know what's left on it. You can look at that mortgage information, or they say, oh no, we don't owe anything on the house. And you come out here and there's a mortgage recorded.
Right.
So, but the main thing that we're here for, aside from the research, is that CMA. There's a button right here at the top on the right where you can create your CMA. You're going to go to Remine CMA 360. If you do have Cloud CMA, if that's something that you've purchased into that you use, you can link your account in here in your settings. So you would go down here into the settings portion and go to Cloud CMA and connect your account. And that would be a clickable button for you if that's something you utilize. If you don't, it's fine. You could still create a CMA right here inside of Remine. So we're going to click that button. And the first thing that it's going to have us do is find our comparables. So you're running a quick search here through Remine. So we're going to say anywhere from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms, because this is kind of the community's got either 2 bedrooms and a den, or 2 or 3 bedrooms. And then they have most of them have 2.5 baths. So we'll say 2 to 3 baths. You can fill out as much of this as needed. It's a townhome. And then what statuses do you want? You can add multiple statuses here: pending, closed, and you can see here that they also have off MLS. So this adds more possible properties for you. And then how long of a time frame do you want it to be? So this one goes back to 7/13 of 24 up until today. And then you can add in the distance from the property here. So we'll say within a half mile. And I just filled out some very basic stuff on here. Not every piece of information. No results found. Well, that's embarrassing. We'll go back and edit criteria. Yeah, I didn't put enough. 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms to townhomes. Active pending, closed. Sold time frame. Let's see if it pulls. Okay, there we go. It doesn't like me. All right, so we can see it's pulling, like you've got some condos over here and some condos over here, but this is the community where my property is. So I'm going to zoom in so that I only see the properties that I want to, and then we can scroll through this list. You can see it's showing the map will move as you move with this. So it'll show you the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the list price. So this is listed as rental. So you can see here that if you wanted to pull a CMA for your rental properties as well, that's possible. And you've got closed on the MLS 22. There was nothing that it pulled for closed off the MLS, so that doesn't show here. But as you choose which ones that you believe are fitting to your property, That's fine. Pine Oak is in there. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. You can click here, it'll open up more properties for you there. But it does put everything in the cart here. So this one pulled a lot more because we've got a wider range here. You would remove the properties that you do not want in your CMA. And if you accidentally remove it, then you can click this add button back here. So we're going to go through and just remove a bunch of these really quick. I probably didn't need to put as big of a radius as I did. Pine Oak, Palmetto, Pine Oak. That's just for the active, and then our closed. We'll remove everything that we can.
Now, is there a way to pull, so you're not pulling the rentals too?
Yeah, that would be in the statuses. So I just put in some very basic information in there. So that would be in the type of property as well.
Okay.
Cedar Oak, Winkler. Still Pine Oak, Pine Oak. All right, and I think we took all the rentals out too. Nope, those are up here. And you'll see as we move through each tool, it gets a little bit more, there's more steps to what you have to do because there's more data, it's more thorough. And we should be set there. Okay, and you can sort this list too. So right now it's sorted by list price. And you can change out ascending, descending, but you can put by sold date. So if you're looking for stuff that's newer or you want to delete stuff that's older, your bedrooms, your bathrooms, things like that. All right, so once you're done, you've got this big blue button over here that is save and continue, but I do see that we have questions. So before we move on to the next step. All right, if you put your price in Remine, like 275,000, as you mentioned, who sees that besides you? I presume it's not public. No, you're not going to get posted in that like list of options that's there. That is just for your profile and your notes.
Right, it's for your notes. So if you go back there and you said, hey, this is what I looked at. I drove the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Whatever, and this is the number I think, right? And that's what's gonna be but it's attached to you in the profile for that property inside your own. It's not public.
Yeah. All right, scenario. As a listing agent, seller tells you they do not have a mortgage. They had a loan from a private lender and paid it off. However, record shows they have a mortgage. Is there a requirement for private equity lenders who are not bound to truth in lending laws to report such info? Do I have to assume that the seller is being truthful? That would be a question for your favorite mortgage lender.
Right, or your broker or legal hotline.
Yeah, I would utilize legal hotline for that one about what the requirements are for private lending reporting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've seen it be like with a lot of stuff they've done before, they're a lot slower at it. But
they are, and you may, if it's not recorded as a mortgage, it's not going to show up on as a lien necessarily as a mortgage lien. That's usually found through title. So maybe a question for your favorite title attorney.
True.
So if you use Sam Sod or something like that.
Yeah,
for that,
Sam's been on our MLS Mondays before.
He may have a good answer, but I would tell you that, and this came up in our MLS meeting, not to go down a rabbit hole, but the other thing as a listing agent you should be aware of are the PACE loans.
Yes.
So the loans that they use to put solar power on their homes are done through what they call a PACE loan, PACE. Those loans, you know, people forget about it. And the reasons this came before the committee was people were getting to the closing table and they're saying, oh, what, we did a lien check and you've got a $38,000 PACE loan on your deal. And by the way, as a seller, you have to come to the table with additional $4,000 to close.
Right.
Well, the seller's looking to take money back with them when they sell, not bring money to the table. So they're short of the payoff of the two mortgages. So
right.
That's been an issue. So I would ask specifically if they have a PACE loan.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, and then I went back through here and we went just to the 3-bedroom, 3 baths like we did previously in Matrix. So you can see all together we now have 7 comparable properties. We've got 2 active and 5 closed that are in this grouping that we're doing inside of Remine. And you can see up the top, this changes as you change your selection. So the market value range is 250 to 268. So if you're happy with your selection, you can see your properties here on the map. You've got your list running along the side here. Once you're done, you can click this blue button over here that says save and continue. As you're doing this, you can see up along the top here that you're moving through each step. And if you needed to go back, you could as well. So where we're on view results right now, you know, we just did this and I said, oh crap, you know, we did too much. I did too far out. You can click this button up here that says edit criteria. We could go back, you know, add stuff, subtract stuff, change what you might need. But we're good, we're happy, we've got what we need. We're going to click save and continue. So once you've done that, now you get to customize your report, have a little bit of fun with it. There are color schemes in here. They have the big national franchise brokerages in here already. So if you are part of one of the franchise brokerages, you can click that and it will automatically pull up your colors. Or the most popular button in here is to customize it. So with the custom colors, you can select your different colors here and they get very specific with the color wheel. You can enter in, if you've got your specific color code, you can put that in there so that it matches your branding. I'm going to make it Christmas colors because it may be January, but it's still Christmas in my heart. There we go. All right. So we've got our Christmas color CMA. And then you can also, this is, you know, your title page here. So you can upload your company logo and your agent photo. If you've done that in your settings, it will automatically pull in here. Name of the clients. So we'll put this in here. This is for our clients, Jane Doe. So it says prepared by, it's automatically going to put your name. Prepared for Jane Doe. I should have made that Santa Claus. And it'll create this beautiful title page for you. And if you can click the Grinch, yes. So once you've done this, this is just for a little bit of branding, just to kind of make it, you know, look presentable. And this is where you can see the difference. We've already stepped up from just some real basic data to a little bit of presentation here. So we're going to click save and continue. And you are going to get this CMA. So you can print it and get it's so funny, the Grinch, and it's all green. You can print it and get a PDF that you can send over to them, but you're also going to get this beautiful report that you can scroll through with them. There's multiple ways to get this over to them. So you've got your market value range here, the list range, the average list price, the sold range, and average sold price. Scrolling down, you've got the average days on market, the low end, the high end, the difference. So it's usually listed and then sold at an average of 2% under, at most 5%, and then or full price offer or full price closing, I should say. The estimated value on it is 264,000 on the low end, 250 on the high end, 280. And then you've got the demographics of the neighborhood that they pull through their neighborhood reporting. So this is really cool if you've got buyers who are interested in it, but also, you know, you can have that conversation. These are safe things to report that you aren't coming up with an opinion on. So you don't have to worry about fair housing. You can say, this is, you know, what's pulled from data. If you're talking to your sellers and they're trying to figure out, you know, what the demographic is. 36% are educated, 34% have children, average of a 2-person household with 45,000 income, and an average age of 35.
Well, and I think what's also powerful there is as you're selling property,
yeah,
it's you can somewhat target market that, right?
Right.
So,
Depending on what you're using. So Facebook nowadays, if you say that it's for housing, it's not going to let you.
They're not going to let you do it.
It's not going to let you do it by age or anything. You want to be careful with fair housing, tiptoe around that.
Right.
But we get this question a lot in new member orientation in our MLS Mondays. They're like, you know, I can't have these conversations, but people are always asking. They want to know what the neighborhood is like. That's what these reports are for. This is hard data. You hand it over. You don't have an opinion on it. It didn't come from your opinion. It came from hard data. And that way you steer clear of fair housing.
Right. And I think that it's you want to stay away from fair housing. I also think that as you look at stuff, if you look at like Gateway, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and their condos out there's a lot of condo owners, if you go through the data, right? A lot of condo owners are from Boston.
Yeah.
Because you got Red Sox Stadium right there, Fenway South. So, but knowing that there's, it affects that demographic. It
Mhm.
really does, because people don't live there full time. They just use it as a crash pad to come down and see some games. They may Airbnb it, may rent it out. But you should know who that buyer is when you take a listing. If you're in Cape Coral, you're on water, it's probably gonna be somebody that's got a boat, wants to boat, depending on where the water goes. But you should know what that buyer is gonna be.
Yeah.
When you list a house, and this would support that information.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I think it's gonna be a couple that's probably coming down, that's gonna use this for a couple years. And ultimately retire based on where you're at, based on where that area is at, so.
Yeah. So it is going to show the home valuation piece in here that you saw before. So this is a great conversation piece for your buyers or your sellers, right? So, I believe that the house is listed at is worth $254,000. As you can see, Zillow thinks it's only worth 209,000. That will show on Zillow. There's nothing, as an agent you can do to control that.
Mhm.
However, you can have those conversations with them. Here's how they come to their numbers. Here's, how they arrive at that. And here's the conversations that we're going to have with potential buyers and be able to look at what all of these different opinions are out there.
Yeah, and your sellers will look at Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
When I was selling houses, listing houses, I always brought this estimate.
Yep.
And then right behind that, I stapled the article that came out. The CEO of Zillow sold their home in New York City. And the estimate was off over $1 million. So my big comment was, if they can't get the CEO, their boss who writes a paycheck and signs it, they can't get his estimate right, they're probably not gonna get yours right.
Yeah. But just a good conversation piece for
Yep.
sure. It will then run through the different comparable properties that you chose for the CMA so that they can see exactly, what they're being compared to get an idea of how you arrived at that number with some basic information of each of those properties here. So this is a basic CMA that you would get through Remine. And again, you've got the print button up here. It will save in your CMAs, so you can open this and scroll through that with them. But if you wanted to print it out and save it as a PDF, you can do that as well. Love the CEO Zillow tip. I do too. I've never heard that one, Jason. Beautiful.
And I mean, it's just a value, it's an algorithm valuation. It's not hardly ever right. So,
Mhm.
and it's out there, and that's what people look at, so.
Yeah. So, and you can see here now, when we look at this landing page for the property, it's now marked here that, hey, you've got saved in your CMA carts. Here, you've done a CMA before, so it'll remind you that you've done that. You can come back out and look at your work. So if we come to carts and we go to CMAs, you can see the different ones that we've done before on different properties. This is the one that we just did. Let me move our little faces over and over again. So if we click into this, it'll reopen that CMA for us, and then we can go back into it and view it, open it up, look at it with the customer, print it out again if we needed to. But that's going to be your easy way to get back to your CMAs that you've viewed. All right. So if we don't have any more questions on the Remine piece, we have one question. Remine in comparison to MLS Matrix Quick CMA Search. Do you happen to know if the data pulled should be the same across both platforms? When comparing, there should not be any significant variances. So there can be a difference. When you're doing your CMA inside of Matrix, it's going to pull just what's inside of Matrix. In Remine, and also the next tool that we're going to move to, RPR, they also pull public record. So anything that's closed off of MLS. So you could possibly have more data, and it's up to you whether you're going to use that or not. A lot of times when I was doing CMAs and you would look at stuff that was closed off of the MLS, it was like, maybe I decide, I'm going to sell it to a family member, and it was sold really, really cheap, and it was it was just a variance of data, so we didn't use it. But then there are some good comparables that are used off of MLS. So there could be differences in data.
Yeah, your Remind's pulling and scraping tax data as well. So where this is super important is if you're in an area where there's been a lot of lot sales like Cape Coral or even Lehigh, and they're building new construction. A lot of these new construction homes on the private builder side never end up in the MLS,
Yeah.
right? So, you may have that anomaly there. And when I say never end up in MLS, they could have been built 4 years ago. There's still not going to be a comparison. You're not going to go that far back, but it's never been sold since. And people say, what about that new house on the street? Well, it's not in the MLS. There are going to be things you're going to find.
Yeah. So that's going to be your main difference, though, is just those off MLS closings.
Yep.
All right, so you can see there we've got a little bit more information, a little bit more branding on there. How about information on the condition of the property? So the question is, how about information on the condition of the property? So with that, what I do is if you've got a property that's in pristine condition, maybe they've upgraded, they've got, beautiful kitchen or bathroom upgrades, that's where you're going to want to click into the listings and look through the photos, because most of these are properties that have been listed on the MLS. Go through and see, are they upgraded? Are they not upgraded? If you've got a property that's way outdated, well, then you've got to look through those photos and find stuff that's not upgraded. Whichever end of the spectrum you're on, go through those listings and see, does it match
Well, and I also think
the
too,
criteria of your property?
right. And I also think too, when you look at the logic of what happens, I mean, think about reality. At least when I was selling, I would get a referral, let's say on a listing. I've never been in that property, right? Most cases are not, unless it was a past client, I've never been in there. So you're walking in with a CMA, with a presentation, with absolutely no idea of what the inside looks like. And even though you can have a conversation, and I used to have a checklist that I used when I started, and I guess got it committed to memory, asking about specific questions. It's got to be closed-end questions, not open-ended. If you start asking, well, tell me about your kitchen, they're going to love their kitchen, right? But if you say, when was the last time your kitchen was updated? And they say, well, it hasn't been since I owned the house and it's been there for 11 years. You're now going to be able to get a better idea. But if you're not asking those questions on the phone, you're going to walk in with a CMA of what you think the value is. And I've been there. I walked in and there was a person that was a hoarder. Yeah. And they haven't replaced anything since,
And that's why that range is so important.
The range is so important, right? So you're not going to know. But I would tell you, I would confirm the appointment and say, as I'm finalizing numbers here, I just have a couple questions to ask you. It's 5 questions. Last time your bathroom was updated. When was the last time your kitchen's been updated? Has there been any upgrades or improvements you've done? Right? Including appliance replacement, hot water heater, air conditioner, etc. So go through those questions as you're confirming the appointment, and then you can go back. And I've been at points where I did a day before, a day away from the CMA. I wouldn't print until the morning of. But there's been times I went back based on that conversation, pulled out comps that were completely renovated because I knew it wasn't gonna make a difference.
Yeah. It takes one time of you running a CMA for somebody and getting their hopes up and walking in and going, oh my gosh, this is a disaster, and learning that those questions need to be asked.
Right.
So we've got one other question in here, and it says, at the end of class, could you recap briefly the Zillow tips? Sorry, I missed that. That's okay, Kimberly. I kind of miss half of what he says all the time too. You can recap it really quick. It's quick enough.
Yeah. So I would bring with me the actual estimate, and there's an article in the New York Times, I think it was, that I had printed out copies of it just off the internet. And the headlines was basically that the CEO of Zillow sold his house and that the Zestimate was off $1 million. And so I brought that article with me. And the comment was, if they can't get the person that signs their paychecks Zestimate right, they're probably not going to get yours right. I've always seen a variance in them. So it was something I brought with that kind of, because everybody's gonna say, well, and they'll say that, especially when when it's higher than what you're gonna list it for, right?
Yeah,
You have a couple good sales in the area, a couple new construction, couple remodel homes, a
yeah,
house with a pool. They're gonna say, well, my house is worth X, and it's just a good way to rebuttal it.
yeah.
And to me, it's
not
all about
right.
the transparency. I mean, being upfront with people.
Yeah. Kimberly said, ha ha ha. She thinks I'm funny. Jason doesn't
I
think
think she
I'm
was saying
funny.
ha 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 to my
No,
actual,
to me.
to my actual
I
Zillow,
don't think
my
so.
actual Zestimate Zillow idea.
All right, guys. So we've got one more tool for you, and this is RPR. And this is going to be the most in-depth tool that I've seen out there for CMAs. I know we've got like 12 minutes left. We might go 5 minutes over time, and I'm going to try to fly through this and make it easy for you. But if you are looking for something that is a huge, impressive type of report, this is going to be the tool for you. If you've got the analytical type seller, this is going to be the tool for them. This type of report that you're going to pull on here can be anywhere from 5 pages to I've had my biggest report out here was 85 pages. I mean, it is very, very impressive, very robust, and a lot of editable features for you. So when you click into RPR from our dashboard, again, this is our dashboard. You're going to be clicking this button right here.
What does RPR stand for?
Realtor Property Resource. Did you think you were going to catch me?
No,
I'm on it.
we are the industry of acronyms.
Of alphabet soups. So Realtor Property Resource. When you click out here, this is what you're going to see first. And we're going to walk you through how to do a CMA. But what's great is they have this guided tour section. And if you wanted to use any of these tools, if you click it, it walks you through. It's not just a video. It literally walks you through and it says, click here. Okay, next, click here. So if you forget everything I teach today, this button is a lot like your spouse and they'll tell you what to do. So I'm full of them today. So up here at the top, you also have reports. Start a CMA tour button is here as well. All of your reports that you do will go under here. And they have so many other reports that you see here that you can pull for data, information, whatever it is you might need. We could spend a whole class here on RPR, but we won't. So what we're going to do is type in that property that you're going to pull the CMA on. And you can see I recently searched it here to make it easy for everybody. I feel like the shows where they pull out the pre-cooked food. Here
Yep.
it is, ready to go. All right. So in here, again, a lot like Remind, you're going to see RPR has a lot of information for you in a different layout. Maybe they've got some different stuff, but you can scroll through here, do what research you want to do. They bought this house back in 2012 for $75,000. Lucky ducks. RPR believes it's worth $253,000. Basic facts and all kinds of information going down here forever. So if you wanted to look at this, you could. What they have different here though for your note taking is property facts. So maybe they put on additional bedroom that's not recorded. Maybe they've got additional square footage not recorded. You can put your own notes in here and your changes as you're on the phone with them, or maybe you're there at the house with them. You can plug that in here and it'll save to that property just for you to see, not for anybody else to see. And when you run your CMA, it'll pull that information in there for you so that you don't have to go back out and find it. But the main button you're going to want here is that CMA button up at the top. Lots of information. I suggest go out and play inside of RPR and see what information you can find. But for time's sake, we're going to jump right into that CMA button. In here, you've got several steps to go through to put together your packet. And you can see here they're labeled out 1, 2, 3, 4. They make it pretty easy, but you do have a lot of options. So if you get lost, I suggest using the tour. Most of our members use the comparative analysis button. The sales comparison analysis button is what the appraisers use. This is actually a tool for appraisers as well. So realtors and appraisers both exist in this platform side by side. And if you were to click this, it's going to ask you what your appraiser license is. You can skip it and use that process, but if you've not done a CMA before, it's going to be very, very hard. It's, you know, your CMA on steroids, but you know it's a really good tool when it's there for the appraisers as well. So we're going to go back to the comparative analysis button, which it automatically lands on. All right, so first and foremost is the home facts. So we're going to confirm the home facts of that subject property. This is where the information would pull in. So if you took notes on that property and you filled it in on the main page, it's going to pull it in right here for you. So that additional bedroom that you found, the extra square footage they might have, any differences there are going to pull in here. It does show the public record data. If it's currently listed, which that would mean like maybe you have a buyer or maybe they're, getting ready to move to a different agent, the listing data would pull in from our MLS here as well. So you could compare it. Maybe there's discrepancies. And then maybe you found something else. You've got 3 different points of data. This one is perfect as is though, and we're just going to confirm the facts and close it, not do any changes to it. And when you make changes to it, it's really just there for your notes. It'll pull it into the report and show it side by side, but it's not going to make any kind of adjustments or anything for you. That's the biggest question we get. It is there purely for note purposes so that the homeowner or the purchaser could see that there's discrepancies in the public data. So the next thing you're going to do is find the comps. And this is going to run a search, much like we did in Matrix and much like we just did in the the Remind portion. And here you can see condos and townhouses are one button. They kind of group them together here in RPR. We are then going to select active, pending. They consider this active under contract. It's what a lot of the rest of the nation calls it instead of pending with contingencies, but that's what that button means. And closed. And we're going to say within the last 3 months, or you can enter in a date range. We'll do the 2 to 3 bedrooms, 2 to 3 baths. It auto-populates some of this in here for you, but you're going to want to make sure you've got the property information up. Maybe you pull LIPA up or your own notes to make sure that you put in the correct square footage, things like that. So you can put a lot of information in here. You can put a little bit of information in here, just like we did with Matrix. And we're going to click search. And we can see here on the map, it's pulled up a lot of different options for us. And I know that I just want this community right here. So I'm going to draw a shape around my community and make this a little easier for myself, my beautiful little shape. And then we're going to say search this area, or we can edit this area and save it. So search this area, everything else disappears, makes our life a little easier. And then we scroll down below the map. This is the key legend for that map. And we've got all of the properties here that we found within our search. It'll probably be a little easier for you guys to view. You can usually view everything in one screen. I've got it super zoomed in for all of our blind people, AKA Jason. So in here, we've got all of our options. So you would click add comp to listing and your choices for what you want to show up in your CMA are going to pop up here on the side. So this one is a 2-bedroom, 3-bath. I don't want that one. I want the 3-bedroom, 3-bath. So we'll go ahead and choose that. If I'm not sure which ones I want to use, in our example, it's kind of easy because we already looked at all the listings in MLS. But if you just came right to RPR, you can click into these listings. They'll open it up so you can look through the property, see if it's got the same upgrade that your home does, see what the condition, I know that was a question earlier, see what the condition of that property is, because you've just got the very basic information here. But if you want more, you can do this drop down or click into that, and it's going to open up that landing page for that property with all of the public record information and everything like that. Question: is there a filter for waterfront and golf access in RPR? This is the biggest question we get for RPR. There is not a filter for waterfront in RPR. We have put in a request. I will continue to put in requests with RPR, with them being a national tool. It's not Florida driven. They don't have waterfront. The map feature helps a lot. I know a lot of people who sell in Cape Coral, they still use RPR, and then they select through on the map and use that strategically, but there is not a waterfront filter on that. Another way of doing it is something I used to do is I would do my search in MLS, and then I would find the addresses I wanted in MLS because that's hyper local, right? That's why you have your MLS right here in Southwest Florida. You use all that hyper local data to pull the addresses you want. And then I already knew what addresses I want. I would just come out here and click them.
Yeah.
And I know that's searching in two places, but it depends on how in depth you really need to get or want to get.
Right, and that's great to your point of waterfront specifically. Golf course, right, those types of things.
Yep.
You can pull that stuff that's hyper local. You're not gonna get the off-market stuff out of the MLS, but everything you've got there, you're gonna know that's waterfront, that's golf access.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing you did, because this
I use
report,
multiple tools.
yeah, this report gives you all the data you're gonna want and impress your seller. But it doesn't have the searchability that you'd want to have in functionality for waterfront, for niche, right? Even like, when you talk about horse ranch and stuff like that, I mean, those acreage, you gotta use two tools when you get niche.
Yeah, because when I've had conversations with RPR, and I'm like, waterfront, they're like, do you see a filter in there for basement? The northern people don't get what they want either, and I'm like,
that's true. No, that's
still
true.
want waterfront. So once you select out which properties you want, just by clicking the checkbox over here, you can see they've added into the right-hand side over here. If you accidentally click something, you can simply unclick it and remove it, add it back as needed. So it will update here on the side. The range is anywhere from 132K to 152K. Do I have rentals in here? 253. What did I do? And again, these aren't accurate CMAs that I'm doing for you guys today. This is just showing you how to use the tool. But
No,
I
don't see any rentals in there.
Okay. So once you're done, you're going to click update and close. And it'll move into our next step. So you've got your average. I clicked a rental in there somewhere because it's throwing that number off. That's way off. So once you're done and you've done all of your comps, it's going to give you that number here of the average and the range. Jason talked a lot about the range earlier, and then it's also going to break it down in price per square foot. But everybody's favorite part of RPR that we haven't covered, that we did not have in Remine or in the quick CMA of Matrix, is adjusting your comps. So sometimes you've got comparables that are super, super accurate to what your subject listing is. It's like, cut and paste. And you've got other ones where it's like, it's a good comparable, but they've got upgraded appliances and I don't, but they've got carpet and I've got tile. So in here, without having to be a professional for adjustments of adding and subtracting for carpet, tile, appliances, or anything like that, you can edit these comparables. So first and foremost, you can decide which ones you want to show first, second, third. I'm looking for my outlier in here of what I did. And it might be my compare. It's the number. Yeah, it's the number I hit in there. So you can choose what's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and choose the order. You can also scroll down here, and this is everybody's favorite part. How does this property compare to the subject? So if it is worse off, it is better. So I'm looking at this one, I'm like, oh, they've got upgraded appliances and I don't. We're gonna totally move this down this way. But maybe we look at this one, and what's cool is you can scroll through the photos as it's sitting in here. So you can go, oh, is this the one that has the upgraded kitchen? I can't remember. Oh no, this is the one with brown cabinets like I have. Okay, so this is a better comparison. So based on, because you can see that this is listed a little bit higher, this one's listed a little bit lower. It tells you what it's adjusting your property to make it fit closer to what that actual number is. So if you have property where you're like, I want to add this in here, but it's not that close to the property, well, that's fine. It'll adjust the number for you. So overall, this went down 1,375 based on the adjustments I made. And you can see how each property affected that. You can go through and do that for each property. And again, it's got all the details listed out. So maybe you had one that was like 3-bedroom, one was that 2-bedroom. And then you can add notes to each property, and you can ask to have it included in the report. So when they look through each of these comparables, they will be able to see what your notes are. You could say, hey, I took money off because this one had granite counter, or this one has carpet, yours has tile. Your reasoning behind stuff, you can add those notes into your property. Once you're done, all of your adjustments show down here at the bottom. And click update evaluation and close. I know it's 12:02. I'm going at the speed of light.
No, you're fine.
So once you're done here, you've pulled all of your comps, you've made your adjustments, and then the result of your comp analysis would show here. And if you wanted to edit this, you could. I've done this property before on a class, which is why I believe that number is way off. You could do a manual override and decide what the numbers were actually going to be for whatever reason that might be. Oh, we love this keyboard.
Yeah, you may want to have it a bigger range because you
Yeah.
haven't been inside the property, so you want that range a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so that would be the manual override there. So once you see that all of your work is done, you're going to click create report. And it's going to bring you out to all of these report options. And this is kind of where it makes your head spin a little bit. Automatically, it's going to go for the seller report. That is the best part that's an accurate representation of a CMA. As you can see, it says this one's going to be approximately 81 pages. It's a lot. They've got all these other reports out here. I suggest you click view samples and look at those. Some of them are better for open houses and marketing. Some of them are better for buyers, but the true CMA report is this seller report here. You can customize it. It shows you every single piece that is going to be in the report. So you're like, whoa, 85 pages is way too much. No way, Jose. You can take out different pieces of this that you don't think are important. The reason it gets to 85 pages is it goes heavy into the comps. It shows like all the details of every single comparable. It shows all kinds of graphs. It shows all kinds of maps, all kinds of stuff.
yeah.
So
Also has old photos of it, old listing photos, so the property's been listed 5 times, all the history. It also the seller net sheet in it, which is, you know, I will tell you as a consumer.
With a signature line.
I'm not hiring you if you don't provide me a net sheet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's in there.
So you get your title page here. You can customize that as well. Make sure you've got all of your stuff updated in your settings. Down here at the bottom, you can include the name and the message here. Delivery option. So you can say display now. When it's ready, you will hear a doorbell noise and it will open up into a PDF, or you could just email it right to them. I always prefer doing the PDF version, but if you want to use their email, you can do that as well. Click run report. And it tells you here what happened. So like I said, it takes a few minutes to run that report. It is an 85-page report, but once it's done, you will hear that doorbell noise go off. It went off, but did it go off? And then it's going to show up here at the top, and it's got this fun little button here so that you don't lose it. We'll click into here. I think it's still loading. It hates me.
Did it open the window?
It did. I think it's still loading. But once that is done, there we go.
There it is.
Doorbell noise. Okay. So then you can click download report. It will open up that PDF for you. And I didn't edit this one at all. So it is all 85 pages. It's very, very impressive. Anything and everything you could ever want to know about this property is out there. So this is your cover page. I did not add in my information here, but the whole page fills out. You can add in your logo, your photo, all of that. And it will run you through every single thing you just pulled, all of the comparables, lots of different charts. So if you had your listing facts were different, your realtor changes were different, that would be out here. Extended home facts on the property, so it'll give them anything that they need to know about their property. This is the livability index. They've got a lot of reporting out here in RPR for neighborhood reports. For those of you that are looking for demographic information, we saw that a little bit in Remind. RPR is very, very heavy on demographic reports and neighborhood reports. As Jason said, the historic photos of the property, so they can see, you know, what's out on the internet that exists about their property that people are going to find. We can see here, you know, this one doesn't have the updated kitchen. Lots of charts for the neighborhood. So property history, this is what they've seen, that they've recorded that the price index has done on the property. For this property is in yellow. Fort Myers as a whole, Lee County as a whole, Florida as a whole, and they can watch and see what the numbers have done since January of 2009. But we could spend all day going through this report, and you could, you know, spend 3 hours with your seller going through this report. I do suggest you go out there, run a full report on your own property, just to get an idea of all the information that's out there, so that you know what pieces you want to include for your sellers, and maybe what pieces you want to keep out. I had a full report on my own property, and I kept it on my desktop, so that I knew what pieces I wanted to keep and what pieces I didn't. They're titled at the top, so maybe you don't like this graph. This is under seller report, and then it is the list price versus sale price graph. So I would come out here and, you know, look at this and then uncheck it on my report when we were customizing it. Market health charts and comparisons. You can decide which pieces to keep and which pieces not to keep. But for that analytical person that you have in your life, this is the perfect report for them. All right. Do we have any questions on RPR or any of the tools for that matter? Because that is all three. So we started with your Matrix Quick CMA, which is just some quick numbers. We went through the Remind CMA, which is a nice quick report as well with a little bit more information. And then I think we overdid it there with the RPR and the 86 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, it just depends on what, you know, if you got, and I'll tell you my own perspective, that middle report for Remind's great for like past clients. They know, like, and trust you. They're now moving, they contact you to list their house. You don't need to go in there with an 87-page report typically, right? If it's somebody you don't know, it's just a referral or it's a lead, or you went and got a, you're calling expireds, you want to impress them on what the product, you know, the property is, so.
Yeah. All right, so the question is, I'm actually on RPR trying to start a report, start a CMA, create a CMA, nothing happens. What did I miss? Okay, so let me go back to the home screen. Let me do this little. So if you're going into here and you're clicking start a CMA, it's gonna walk you through the tour.
Right.
And it's gonna try to like do that thing where it takes you through step by step. What you're gonna want to do is search the property first that you want to do a CMA for. So you would start typing in here 3009, but I already have it. Oh, the keyboard doesn't like me. So type the address in here, pull that address up so that you're looking at the actual property, and then click the CMA button up here.
Yeah, you gotta start with the address.
Yeah, start with the address and then go to the CMA button. That's going to be your easiest way to get to it. And it's automatically going to pull you through this part. Later on, once your CMA is done, you would go to reports to find your report. But if you do it here, you can see it says tour. It's going to try to like do that thing where it takes you through step by step. It's not made for my personality, but it might be made for your personality. All right. Any other questions? I think that's it.
Excellent. Well, went over a little bit, but well worth it. Lot of stuff out there that we're getting. You know, a lot of tools. So that's the whole idea, is that, you know, one listing is not the same as the next, one buyer is not the same as the next. So
Absolutely.
having different tools for them is, I think, is important to go through. So appreciate you spending your Monday morning with us. And again, every Monday we do these at 11 o'clock. So next week is, what's our topic? Am I stumping you?
We almost made it to the end. If you guys are looking to sign up for the rest of our MLS Mondays, you come to the dashboard, click your education tile. We have our own lovely filter. No, you just opened up an opportunity here, Jason.
I know, that's why I'm full of it.
So We have a nice little filter over here for our MLS classes. You click that, it'll open up just the MLS Monday classes. So tomorrow, dun, 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 is your favorite topic. It's unlocking the full potential of the perfect listing. So you've done your CMA, you've blown their socks off, and now you're gonna have the
The
perfect listing.
Yep, we'll talk about the tools available to do that and what that's all about. So we will be on there next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, guys.